It's time now for the Giants Sports Talk Live Morning Report.
Morning, everybody, and wakey, time to rise and shine. Get ready for some baseball back at Oracle Park tonight as the Giants take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Actually, I correct myself, Lou. I was thinking about the road trip yesterday. Thought we were coming home. We are actually going to be playing in Arizona. So right out of the gate, got to correct that. Tonight, Giants in Arizona take on the D-backs. It's a divisional game. Two teams that are pretty close in the standings. Big series for the Giants. Every series is a big series for the Giants, Lou, including the one we just wrapped up. We actually won a series in a wild tornado affair yesterday over at Sutter Health Field.
Yeah, I watched it. It looked pretty vicious. It looked like old Candlestick days. The wind was blowing everywhere, and I thought the Giants sort of got a little lucky with that eight inning affair. In the eighth inning, when they scored 8 runs, there you go. A little luck. I thought Giants took advantage of the A's making a lot of mistakes. I think 6 errors in 3 games. I do remember Saturday was 2 errors, and I believe yesterday's game was 3. Giants took advantage. And, when you do that, you win. Pretty amazing. When you take care of another team's going to give you 6 outs in an inning, you take advantage, boom, before you know it, 10-1 win of the Giants. Now, flying to Arizona against, one of your interdivision rivals. Let's just see how it is. We'll go over the pitching matchups, obviously, but can the Giants make it 3 in a row?
To your point, a little rough weekend, let's say, for Sacramento A's. But I thought the Giants defensively, as you take a sip of that coffee, you were on the radio show, coffee cups piled up. I thought you were playing Jenga over there. Yeah. I'm glad you cleaned them up, or at least they're hidden on the screen. Thank you. But I thought the Giants defensively, given the fact that we saw Haas in the outfield and, there was a little tomfoolery with the lineup once again, they played not a bad defensive game yesterday, Lou, but I will say, and I know I kind of counter this with guys in our chat nightly, we talk about things the Giants do that are kind of suspect, and they go, well, it worked. That's not the way you do it. I don't think this is the way you should be constructing a lineup, Lou.
No, and I think you bring up a great point. I think, the next turnaround, Webb, is where we're really going to see if we really miss Webb. But you cannot have backup people in the outfield. We had Jesus Rodriguez probably about a month ago, and that was tuned up a loss. The longer you do this, the worse it's going to be. Here we are. We're praising the Giants' defense. Arai's been spectacular. Devers been great at first. He had a spectacular game yesterday. But especially in a field, Diamondbacks, where they played, that ball goes everywhere. The gaps are everywhere. The other thing is he sort of got lucky where the ball didn't really find him. What happens if the game's 3-3 and there's a sacrifice fly? Do you trust his arm? What happens if a guy's trying to get a double? Do you trust him throwing to second? I don't understand how we don't have anybody depth-wise in AAA or AA that we could just bring up. In the meantime, I don't understand it. That's purely Buster's fault. Or, as I said in last night's show, maybe Manaya's making all the decisions, and Buster's just sort of a guinea pig and just a name up front. Who knows? But you don't see other teams doing this, and this could be a reason why we're 7 games below 500 before we play tonight against the Diamondbacks.
And don't kid yourself, Lou. This was a closer game than the score indicated. Our pal Eric, he's taking the morning off. He was there yesterday. He's recovering. He was all sand blasted. He was out there in the wind and the sun. He said it was a hot day. But, Lou, when it comes to the San Francisco Giants and this lineup, I got to question again the way it's constructed. I am on board with you. I said it on the show last night, the same thing. You got a guy out there in left field. He was probably peeing his pants the whole game. Just don't hit it to me. Please don't hit it to me. And actually, talk about the Giants and their luck, Lou. And I hate to say it, but the ball kind of stayed out of his direction. So, you take it and run with it. It was a 10-1 game, but as we wrapped up the 7th inning stretch, it was a 2-1 ball game, Eric.
Yep.
Things could have gone awry just as easily as putting another 8 spot in and winning it late going away, because this was one that I thought it was going to go down to the wire. Giants win it. They put a lot of numbers up late. They put a snowman on the board. I think it was in the inning, put up 8 runs.
And then you got to remember tomorrow Ray is going to be starting for us, so a lot of balls will be going to left. So you got to have someone there that knows what the hell they're doing.
All right, let's take a look at what's going on in and around Major League Baseball. Giants coming off their win, and they win the series in Sacramento. They head out on the road. Not like I said earlier in the broadcast. I said, oh, my gosh, they're going to be heading home. No, they're going to be going on the road. So it is Monday. Here we go. Monday, May the 18th. We've got Cleveland in Detroit, a 5:40 start. I'm sorry I don't have the pitchers today, so we're going to run right through them. Baltimore's in Tampa Bay, Atlanta in Miami. Atlanta is a good ball club, Lou, and I'm going to be keeping an eye on that series because we're not too far away from facing off against our old pals, Yastrzemski and Dom Smith.
Oh, yeah. And, both are doing well. I don't know if you saw Friday night, Yaz with a walk-off. So he's been doing well. And I think he really fits with that lineup. And I don't know if you noticed this, but they have the best record in the National League.
Yeah, I thought we relied. Don't you agree, Lou? We rely a lot on players like Yastrzemski when he was wearing the orange and black. And you know what? He's going to fit in nicely there because he's not your quote-unquote leader offensively. He's just going to be a nice piece with that team. And so far this year, he has been. So is Dom Smith. When he gets hot, we've already seen this year what he can do. Cincinnati's in Philadelphia, and New York is in Washington. The Blue Jays and the Yankees. That's always – Lou, I'm going to be in Toronto Friday. And Toronto, New York, always we saw it in the playoffs last year. It's just a nice quality series over in the American League East. Looking at an American League game there. Lou, your take.
Yeah, no, and the Yankees coming off being taken apart by the New York Mets.
Wow.
Mets so they're going to be very upset. Of course, Toronto, as we know, is trying to get back and being reliable, and also with their starting pitching. So a big game for Toronto as they visit the Bronx. I expect a lot of fireworks. But you know what's really nice too is this is a full Monday. A lot of times Monday we don't have a full setup, but as you can see the scoreboard today, it looks like we do, and it'll be fun to watch.
Another team in the American League East is going to be on the road today in Kansas City. It's always a great day for baseball in KC. Boston and Kansas City. Houston's over in Minnesota, and I'm actually doing the show this morning from Winnipeg. So if I got in the car now, Lou, I'd be there by 1 o'clock, 1:30 this afternoon. Maybe I should go watch. Nah, I'm not going to do that. Milwaukee and Chicago, that is an early evening start for us on the West Coast. Texas and Colorado. Colorado is another team we got to worry about in our division. We're holding down 4th place, but Colorado's nipping away there, and let's just see how long they can stay in the race. I mean, can the Giants get in the race is the question. The A's, they dropped the series, like Lou said off the top. Not the best defensive game. They'll head down Southern California, take on the Angels. They've had an up and down start to the year. Chicago and Seattle. It was a windy day in Chicago yesterday. If you caught any of the Cubs and the White Sox, hot dog wrappers going around. I told Lou and Eric on the show last night, it was like watching an old 80s game on black and white TV. And it just oozed of that. And LA in a big series, Lou, taking on the Padres over there at Petco Park tonight in SoCal.
Yeah, first place on the line. And it's crazy. You want to see an atmosphere like you don't normally see for a regular season game. San Diego's ready. It'll be fun to watch. I mean, it's just sort of an amazing thing when those two teams meet. And then tonight, that brings us to us.
Yeah, there it is, Lou. Tonight, the Giants are underdogs. You and I like to look at the betting line early in the day, and it shows Arizona's the favorite at home. It's going to be almost, I think it was 98, 99 degrees. We'll call it a triple-digit evening first pitch as the 20-27 Giants take on the Diamondbacks 22-23. I would anticipate, I doubt that I'll be wrong here when I say the dome will be closed, and I think the ball will carry. You talked about it on the show last night, Lou. When it comes to that ballpark, especially with the roof closed, in my opinion, you're going to have balls flying. There's a big, spacious outfield there. Do you think that benefits the Diamondbacks just as much as perhaps the Giants?
Well, I think with all the Giants' problems in their outfield defensively, I think it really helps the Diamondbacks. I think the one thing, too, is The Diamondbacks just came from Colorado where they took 2 out of 3, and they didn't overuse their bullpen. As you know, a lot of times when you go to Colorado, you go through, it seems like your whole entire pitching staff every game. They had great starting pitching. So I think it's one of those things where, and again, I know the Giants had one big inning, but we've seen it before. The Giants scored 10 runs one game. The next game, we're hoping for 2 or 3. So, I just think it's one of those things. The Giants have been playing well on this road trip. They're a game over 500 because their defense has been playing well. Let's see if it's going to happen in a ballpark where when you see a game in that ballpark, it just sounds different off the bat. And, Arizona makes you work for it. Let's see if the Giants can stick around. And that's Yeah,
sorry, Lou. We didn't have the starting pitchers, but I do like this website, the TSN, the Sports Network website.
Oh, yeah.
You guys want to check it out at, I believe it's tsn.ca. And it gives you some good stats we can talk about during the pregame on the morning show. Giants, Arizona tonight. Look at the numbers. They favor Arizona, Lou. They're almost a run a game more. That's going to play into it, perhaps.
Yep.
Hits per game, Giants favored there, but they're not getting the runners in. They leave too many men on base, Lou. So I guess it kind of cancels it out. You get more hits, but if you don't score them.
Yep.
But look at that home run number, Lou. Home runs per game, both clubs even, and they're below 1 a game. Do you think either club, maybe the Giants have been swinging good bats, maybe somebody could put the ball over the fence tonight for us, Lou?
Yeah, and it's great. I'm just going to throw this out. The great TSN. This is what happens when I need my CFL updates.
There you go, baby.
The real football right now.
Did
CFL
you know,
football.
Lou, that the season's starting next weekend?
Of course.
You and I right on the same page there. So we got Robbie Ray up against Zach Gallen. Ray's 3-5. You mentioned the Ray is pitching tomorrow. It's actually tonight. Ray will go in this one. He's I don't know. Stats to me, for me, it's wins and losses. Eric totally cancels that out. He goes, I look at these other lines. But that should be a good pitching matchup. Gallen, I don't think, has lived up to his season, a start of 1-4, Rays 3-5. Never know, in my opinion, Lou. 3-5, not that good, and you never know what you're getting from Robbie Ray. Am I correct?
You're correct in both ways. Plus, Zach's a lot different pitcher at home than on the road. He's been very effective over the last couple of years. He's pitched very well against the Giants at Arizona. So, tonight, that's why I think they're favorite and they have a little advantage. The other thing about Robbie Ray is his last 3 starts, boy, by the 4th inning, he's already at 85, 90 pitches, and that's been his biggest problem. Just isn't going that far. And I think, if Ray can survive and, pitch maybe 5, get to the 6th inning, gives the Giants an advantage. But, we'll see. That's why they're playing. And, tonight, another game, these 6:00 games. And, obviously, I think it's 6:15 the game is tonight. So, we'll be back for a post game, probably about, 9, I'd say. But, it'll be nice. I think the problem with the Giants here is you come off sort of an emotional win series against your, still your rivals, the A's. But, boy, the A's over the weekend just gave them so many extra opportunities. Arizona won't do that. So you got to play your best ball, especially on the road against the Diamondbacks.
We mentioned there earlier that the Giants and Arizona struggling to hit the long ball, both below 1 per game at 0.8. Schmidt has 8 to lead the club. Vargas, pleasant surprise at second base for Arizona. He's got 7. Schmidt's got 21 runs batted in. Vargas again with the long ball helping out, 30 RBIs. So offensively, little advantage to Arizona, but it's Schmidt there on that roster, Lou. They got to find a way to get him into the lineup. In my opinion, I don't care, lefty, right. You just get him in there every day. And that then leads me to ask this question, Lou. What are we going to see as far as the lineup today? Reminds me when I was a little kid. I was in grade, I think 5, when the Rubik's Cube really took off. And I eventually studied it. I had a little book and I learned to do it. I could do it in about 46 seconds, but it took some work. I think there's work to be done for this Giants team because when I look at the roster, it looks to me like that unfinished Rubik's Cube, Lou. I have no idea. I have no clue. Man, yesterday you had Haas in left field. You had, again, we beak off about it a lot. People criticize, you included, Lou, Eldridge, he strikes out a lot. I don't care. At least play him. He's got to get at bats. If you're gonna suffer with the K's, play him. If not, send him back to Sacramento today. Today, Lou. Move on from this weirdness. Get guys who can play. We're carrying Eldridge who doesn't play, but yet we can't find a left fielder. We got a third string catcher in there. What are they doing, Lou?
It reminds me of Def Leppard's song from 10 years ago. 1 step forward, 2 steps back.
Amen, brother.
I don't understand what the hell's going on. Eldridge has had more games where he didn't play than games he actually saw action. Makes no sense. Having somebody like Haas in left field makes no sense. I mean, we saw that what happened when Rodriguez played right field. It was a catastrophe. And in this ballpark, if they play either one of those guys, even someone like Casey, who's never experienced that ballpark, you're talking at least probably 2 errors a game, and that's the difference, and that's the type of ballpark. You give extra outs before you know it, a crooked number goes up, the game's over by the 4th inning.
Yeah, this is gonna be a weird one. I think the tale of the tape begins before the game. I look forward, of all teams, Lou, I look forward to seeing what our roster is because every day it's like that Cracker Jack box when I was a kid too. You open it up, you never know what the prize is inside. Well, I'll tell you, when I open up the website in the afternoon, take a look at the Giants roster, I never know what the lineup will look like any given day. So they got to get back to business, Lou. They got to finally get some form of
consistency.
Yeah, they got to get consistency so guys know where they're playing. And I don't.
You got to know your roles.
Guys,
we've been saying that about pitching.
Role, Lou.
Yeah, they got to know their roles. I mean, Bader yesterday leading off, maybe because it was against a lefty. I just don't know. It was just very, very weird. I don't want Bader leading off. I mean, I know he hit the grand slam, but I think he got lucky. I know he's coming around, but he's more of like a 7, 8, 9 hitter. You can't have him leading off. Obviously you have a Rise batting second. I have no problem. I just wish maybe you and him and Schmidt can maybe separate a little bit because it always seems like those guys do their job, but then someone like Chapman comes up with the bases loaded or Devers or Adames, and they just don't come through. It's one of those things where you got to do what's best for the team to win. And when you come to the ballpark and you're not sure if you're in or where you're batting, it doesn't help the ball club, especially in the long run.
Do you think the lack of consistency in the way they put this lineup together is just another sheer indication of old Giants baseball? I'm going back maybe 4 or 5 years when I say old Giants baseball, because it's been old every year, Lou. When you're not playing 500 baseball, I mean, it grows old really quick. But do you think they rely on analytics just a little bit too much?
First of all, I hate analytics. Most teams that have won don't worry about analytics. The Dodgers don't do analytics. Philadelphia doesn't do analytics. The Yankees don't do any analytics. The Giants, for some reason, and again, that might be our GM, they're so into it, they can't break away. Well, I don't understand why you keep using it when it's not working. Sorry, it has not been working the last 4 years, but you want to stick with it? Makes no sense. No sense at all.
Not at all. So, guys, if you're out there in the audience today, if you want to maybe we'll hear from the guys in the chat because we read them. You can post a comment and we'll read them during the day. I want to see what everybody thinks of the lineup and what you predict going on this road trip as it continues. I wouldn't even call this weekend a home series. So I'd like to hear from the chat today when they view this and find out what they think. Lou, do you have any expectations of what they'll do tonight? Eldridge play? Schmidt play? How the hell are they going to – who's playing where? Come on, Lou.
Well, I really think if you're going to play Eldridge, don't put him in a pressure situation. Like 7th or 8th is fine with him. I think that's the other thing we don't talk about. I think it was Friday's game, they had Chapman batting 3rd. It's amazing when you bat him 7th or 8th where there's no pressure. You got to do it batting them in a place where they have an opportunity to succeed. You can't have Chapman batting 3rd. You can't have Eldridge batting 3rd or 4th. People, it's just so much pressure. And it always seems like they come up with guys at 2nd or 3rd, 1 out. Bases loaded, nobody out. It's too much. So I think Eldridge will play. If Eldridge is not in the starting lineup, then I hope he's in Sacramento.
Yeah.
Because why is he up here? It's completely useless. And,
Totally.
if you thought the kid thought a lot, mentally, like, what am I doing up here? Well, if you're not playing, obviously it's a sign that they don't think you're as good as you think you are. So you got to do something now before it gets too old. And I just have a feeling, the Giants see Gallen's 1-5, been struggling. And, all of a sudden, before you know it, Giants are down 3-0 before you know it. I think more like a 5-2 Arizona win.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything you just said, Lou, including the fact, in my opinion, that Giant fans, they continue to have a little bit of little worry, even for the future, when it comes to developing players, Lou. We've not done a great job of it. So how in the hell is this developing the confidence and the play of an Eldridge?
Yeah, I think everything, all the above. I mean, every night in the chat, we talk about Eldridge maybe isn't as good, and people think we're nuts. And maybe we should trade Eldridge, and people think we're nuts. Well, if he's not going to play soon, and we do want to trade him, he's not going to be worth as much. I think Eldridge is just going to be an average player. If he was good, like the critics said, maybe last year and everything, he'd be in the lineup. And I think it's one of those things where maybe the Giants brass are saying, you know what, let's take it real slow, because maybe he's just not as good as we pointed out to be. And if that's true, I'm more upset because if you remember in the whole offseason, there are opportunities. You always bring up your guy from Washington. We could have traded him, but the Giants didn't want to get rid of Eldridge, because, he's so good. Well, then if he's so good, why is he not playing? That's all. Well,
C.J. Abrams would have been able to step in and play, Lou. He's game ready.
Yeah, game ready. So,
all right, Lou has already let the cat out of the bag. Sorry, Lou? What'd you say, Lou?
It's a lot of excuses with the Giants.
Oh,
they played safe. So, yeah.
Playing it safe. That is a Lou Marston theme and a Giant Sports Talk theme in general on almost a daily basis. Lou already let the cat out of the bag when it comes to his prediction. We'll hear it again. I'll give you mine. It's all coming up when we close out this edition of Giant Sports Talk Live, where we remind you to please, just help us out by simply visiting our sponsors, including a visit to our good friends over at Tommy's. Tommy's is one of our major sponsors right here at Giant Sports Talk Live, 5929, I believe it is, up on Gary Boulevard. You can catch the bus up there if you're brave enough. I did it once. I'm going to walk next time. I'll walk the 40 blocks. But anyway, make sure you support Tommy's. They're a big sponsor of the show and big friends of the family, so to speak. Lefties in Burlingame, Duxwell Printing, as well as BetterCreditCards.com. Make sure you visit them as well and tell them Giant Sports Talk Live has sent you. All right, Lou, before we close it out, we're going to do this every morning. You and I do the show. We're going to talk about predictions. You think it might be a 5-2, 5-3 game? Is that your go?
Yes, sir. Arizona, unfortunately. I just have a feeling.
And what will be the major factor of the game? Or who do you think will be the guy who steps it up tonight for either club?
I think Arizona will get hits. They will bunt them over, a couple sacrifice flies, and I'm worried about the Giants' defense because it was so good in Sacramento. I think a big error is going to open up the floodgates, and that's how the Giants are going to lose.
I think, okay, there you go. You heard it here first on Giant Sports Talk Live, the morning edition. Giants go down to defeat tonight. Well, Lou, I think the Giants may win tonight. It's not too often I jump on that side of the bandwagon, but I will say that, as I talked about earlier and last night, I think playing in a dome, roof closed, you get the air conditioning on, I think the ball will carry. This is a team that hits more long balls on the road. I think if even one of our little three can smack the ball, maybe hit a home run, and get some nice at-bats from Casey Schmidt tonight. Hopefully he's in the lineup. I think the home run ball could be the difference in this game. There's so many factors, though, Lou. Like, break it down here for the month of Sundays. Will we get the pitching? I mean, I don't know what I'm getting from Robbie Ray. He's 3-5. A little lack of consistency there. It seems like when he's not a guy who shakes things off, in my opinion. He gets down a little trouble, and then he has a tough time digging himself out of it. What kind of game will we get from Zach Gallen? You think he's a better pitcher at home? So there are a lot of factors that could play. I guess you got to put him in a bag, Lou, and shake him up, just like Vitello does with the San Francisco Giant lineup. I wish we were doing a pregame before the show, because that's my major concern. What will the lineup be, and who plays where? And in this case, today, more importantly than usual, will his structuring of a lineup hurt the ball club tonight, Lou?
Agree.
All right, let's wrap it up, Lou. Had a whole lot of fun with you today. Went a little overtime. I love talking baseball with Lou Marsden early in the morning. I'm going back for a little cat nap. I was up too early this morning. The one day I don't have to work on the radio show. I still got to get up early, but hanging out with you makes it all worthwhile. We'll hang out with you, the guys out there watching on YouTube tonight, immediately following Giants baseball, as the Giants take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Should be a hell of a ball game. We'll see you tonight.
You've been watching the Giant Sports Talk Live Morning Report, a Northern Lights Entertainment production.